Go ahead and call this meeting to order. First of all, I want to say that you don't know what kind of day this is. You're not from the South. This is a Bluebird Day. Bluebird Day is a day when it's just crystal blue skies, no wind, and perfect temperature. So this is a Bluebird Day, and I've got y'all in a daggone meeting today. I apologize for that, but it really is a beautiful day out there. And thank you folks for coming today too. And Jamie, I'm glad to see that you come and represent Tiago. And hopefully we can get through a meeting that's informative and for everybody. And I guess the first thing on our agenda is if we have any public comments. Would anybody like to make a public comment? Public comment. All righty. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Next item agenda is conflict of interest. Does any committee member have a conflict of interest concerning any item on this agenda?
No.
All right. And then the next item is approval of minutes. From July 17th, we did not have a meeting last month, so these will be back July 17th.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay. The next item, is TI coastal update. Jamie, you've got the floor.
I hope that's not our inlet, Jamie.
I don't believe it.
I don't see any gaps.
Is it right now?
I
All
don't
the
see
way
any
across.
gaps.
We are doing our quarterly monitoring survey, so that's being updated right now. That can be something I got to do in a minute, but since you brought up the picture. I honestly haven't been out there and I need to go check that out, but we're doing the quarterly monitoring, so we will update all the inventory maps and show where the channels are. Word from the guys that have been doing the work, everything seemed pretty good. I know the connection between Banks Connector channel and the inlet is still a little bit skinny, and they're trying to find the best path to connect between those two areas. That shoulder was, it always kind of persists and comes back quickly after we do a dredge project. It's still there. Hope was that one area was going to establish itself as a dominant channel. And we've been kind of watching that, and I'm not sure if that has happened or it's happening. Yeah, so we'll keep monitoring the situation and see what we can do about, you know, if there's a small project that we need to kind of come in and do. In the interim, we can look at doing something like that, but you got to have to weigh the benefit versus cost of that kind of stuff. Any questions about that portion before I move on to the 30-year plan?
Just a quick question. I mean, people are really looking closely at y'all's quarterly monitoring. You know, I direct them to the website to see that. So probably in a couple of weeks, it will be ready.
Yeah, I think we've only got a couple more days worth of work left. So I'm hoping by the end of next week we'll have a new PDF with color contours and updated map of that.
Is the passage from Banks Channel to go to get to Topsail Creek and out to the inland waterway, is that pretty clear? Is that?
From Banks, so coming from Banks.
If you come out down Banks Channel,
I know.
and instead of going out in the ocean, you want to go to Topsail Creek. Is that, it gets really shallow in there, you know, but is that okay as long as I mean, there is a channel in there.
Yeah, this summer, I ran it a couple times in my boat this summer and I didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to go when it's a rough day.
Rough day,
You have to
yeah.
go across the mouth, you have to go across where that bar is channeled up there. I mean, there's some big swells and
You do.
big swells.
Yeah, and I took my
You
picture.
don't want to do it in the dark, you don't want to do it dark, yeah.
Yeah.
But just make it, but you can do it, but you don't want to go, I mean, it's rough, right, it can be rough like that.
Can you follow the markers out there or not?
You got to know where you're gonna go.
Yeah,
Along that marker, yeah, I think the marker's off just a little bit there.
I don't think
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
generally not everyone wants to follow the markers. They're usually not in the right spot. They set them and then the channel moves or the wind moves the buoy over.
Did they get reset by the Coast Guard after the dredging?
Yeah, they were reset in the spring, after we did the last project, and I think the ones in the inlet are usually, I think recently they've been better than they have been in the past. It's just when you get on the inside area that's kind of moved around quite a bit. Since I hold on.
At any chance, I'm talking about what you're talking about, but at any chance, I know there used to, there were some lights on some of those now. I mean, I know about where you're saying, but can they put some solar lights that just blink? I mean, solar lights on top of those cans anyway?
They should be, have lights on them, but I'm not sure.
No,
Yeah, that would be a question for the Coast Guard.
I mean, I just wondered, you know, I mean, it's like, I mean, there's a solar light on there.
Yeah.
Can the town do that?
I don't think the town can. I think it has to be requested to Coast Guard to get them to put the actual red and green lights on top. That would be something we can look into.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.
I know that everybody's anxious to hear about the 30-year management plan that we've been working on for a while now. That was officially sent over to Heather Krebs with DEQ on August 28th. And over the past couple of weeks, they've been reviewing it internally. She sent it up to their Moorhead office. Fellow named Ken Richardson is the one that does the official review of all of the beach management plan documents. And got an email back from Heather this morning that Ken had finished his review and found no delinquencies in the plan at all. Everything looked good to go. It was deemed complete, and it will be going on to the CRC agenda for November. So Chris and I are officially on the agenda or when the agenda is made, we'll be on it to present it to the CRC, and we'll move forward from there.
So when the CRC approves it, that's it, right?
That
That's
should
the
be-
final, and then we've got our line.
Yep, then the static line will go away or can be moved further forward and be
No, but has our board made the decision yet whether we want to stay with the static line or with the construction line? I thought we had.
yeah, you have the established town ordinance for the construction line.
So as soon as the 30-year plan is approved by the CRC, we'll go to the construction line?
Correct, that'll be the governing line. So according to the state, every single property will be buildable. Every lot will be buildable because you will be well outside of that 60-foot setback from the ocean, most line of vegetation, stable vegetation. The intent of the town's line is to prohibit people from building out on the new dune system that we built. So we don't want people to build any further oceanward than where essentially the oceanfront properties are right now. And so everything will be conforming with the setback line that the state has in place, but we won't allow people to build further out onto the dune where houses are currently.
Well, that line is established now. I mean, it's meets and bounds.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Survey line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's published. We have ordinance published,
Yeah,
part of that.
I've seen it.
Mhm.
So between you and Chris, you all will do the presentation.
Correct. We will present it to the CRC, and thank you for the documents you sent over for what Carteret County did. That's good guidelines on kind of the route that they went, so that would be helpful going forward. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's on their website, the CRC website, the last meeting.
Perfect. So, yeah, everything's good news on that end. The state looked through the whole document, everything looked good to them, so moving forward with it. And then after that is adopted, as well as the vegetation setback line, going away. We'll also start looking at doing the long-term 30-year permit with the state of North Carolina to be able to do a certain number of events within that 30-year period. So that way, if we were to get a storm in September or October, you don't have to go through that 6 to 9 month permitting period. You would be able to say, we're going to go ahead and enact one of our maintenance events. We've met a trigger, and it would be a minor modification to the permit rather than a major modification, which is about a 30-day period. So it allows you guys to be more fluid with projects and get something going immediately rather than the following season. So that would be the next step as far as permitting goes. We wanted to get all of this kind of set and in place, and then follow through with the 30-year permits.
So you get to get CRC approval first and then go.
I don't think talking with Heather, technically we didn't have to go that route, but that's something that I think we wanted to kind of have in place just as a backbone to our 30-year permit to say, look, we've got a plan, there's resources, there's money allocated to funding this project, and we just need the legal permit side to go with it.
What is the status of the more recent status of the Shallow Draft Inlet situation, funding and all that? Is that in any kind of danger at all?
No, I think it's pretty robust fund still. They've got excessive amounts of money in it for projects. I think.
But I mean, I think there was talk about starting to use it for other things, and I was wondering about that. Is it just gonna start dwindling because of other stuff?
That I'm
It
not.
looks okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay, honestly. I think that there's been, I know that the Corps has tried to pull money out of it for certain projects. But I think there's been pushback and kind of some leverage of ways to prohibit that kind of funding to be, projects to be used out of the fund.
Thank you.
Have you been on the beach since all these northeasterly storms have been for 2 weeks worth of storms? I guess we had winds for 2 weeks solid.
Yeah, I think I drove it last week. We have a couple new engineering students or employees came from the UNCW program, so I took them for a little tour of Topsail Island and showed them the different projects. And so we actually drove the beach last week, I believe it was, and everything looked good. The north end is a little bit, skinny, which is to be anticipated because that's north to south sediment transport is the first area that you would notice erosion. But I mean, everything in Topsail Beach looks fantastic. All of the high water line was still well away from the dune system. There was no scarping on the toe of the dune. You still see the sea oats naturally propagating out on the beach. You guys are by far in the best shape on the island still. So everything looks pretty good to me within your township.
Any other questions, comments?
Give them enough sand if we have to pump again.
Yeah, I think within the inlet system, there's definitely, it's,
So it took a little bit more than they were supposed to, didn't they?
no, they took what we originally had, they took less than what we originally had planned for them to take when it was going to be a joint project during the Weeks project in 2020. So we ended up scaling that way down because you guys used a decent amount of sand from Next Gen during that project. So the sand that we put on the Surf City was about 300,000 to 400,000 yards, I believe, if I remember correctly. And it was what was remaining in Banks Channel after you guys did the project Weeks. Then Surf City, we expanded their permit, the channel template a little bit further north so that they could get additional sand. But no, they didn't touch anything that would have been part of your future projects. You still have all of the inlet area, that's connected channel, Topsail Creek, and within there, the accretion we see inside those channels is equivalent to the erosion we see on the beach. So you have plenty of sand within those systems to review what has been eroded from this last project.
Any other questions? Is that it, Jamie?
That's all I got.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Next item on the agenda is the update on the BIS fund. I think you probably have some good news for us.
Yes, we do. The IESIS money, the 25% came in on September the 3rd. Came in a check in the mail, and we did deposit it. The balance on the BIS right now is $6,472,151. However, remember, $517,545 of that is your Vitex project. So we have to take that away from that. But when we add in the IESIS money, and there will be others too, because it did come in September, not August. But we'll have $6,337,754. So we have reached $6 million in the BIS fund. Thank you. In our revenues for the month, on your financial sheet that you have here, we have $140,199 that came in for vendor accommodations, and of course, the other half came for the Topsail Beach. That was $70,099. We had parking revenue for $24,504, and on CDs and money for the BIS we earned $12,806.82 so far for the month there. And then so you have, that's pretty much the sum of your revenue. Christina will go into a little bit more about the Vitex grant
But we did receive a payment where you see that 172. The expenses on the BIS are pretty much norm. There's nothing out of the unusual there. You are gonna see a minus 163.41 in salary and part-time and all of that, so don't get excited about that because that was just where we had our last pay was in June payroll. So that was just backed out, so there was no money taken out of the BIS for salary, so just wanted to point that out. So when you see those minuses, that's what that is. We did have 17,082, and that's pretty much your lobbyist that we have that come out of there for that. And then there was something paid out of the maintenance repair structures, and I believe that was one of the beach accesses or something there for the $600. So your expenses for the month in the BIS was $17,557.39. The accommodations tax for July was really healthy. So that helped to boost up the BIS fund somewhat. So that looks really good. We will be getting our taxes out hopefully by the end of the month. So some of that money will start coming in pretty rapidly. That's pretty much it, I believe. Any questions?
I have one question, and I should know the answer to this, but I've got it. As terms of the income from the parking at the south end, is that supposed to continue to come to BIS?
Yes, sir, it's right here.
Okay, the 24,000. Well, what about the Oceanside parking?
No,
That
sir,
is not,
that's going into the general fund.
okay.
The only thing BIS is getting currently, unless it's changed, come up budget time or something, is the $100,000 that we budgeted for the south end park.
Just wanted to get clarity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, so the ocean parking or the access parking goes into the general fund. The parking, that's the citation parking goes into the general fund. And, so that's pretty much it.
So the maintenance to the access also goes from the general.
The major repair structure stayed in the BIS this year, and that was $100,000.
And so, what we're looking for, this $24,000 is for this fiscal year, right?
That's correct.
And we've only had a couple months in this fiscal year so far. That's looking pretty good, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And should there have been a 30% charge in the current month for the parking south-end expense?
No, sir.
We used to have to pay rental on the parking lot, but because we acquired that parking lot.
Don't we pay a percent for the people that administer it?
They take that out before.
They take that out before it comes to us. So the 70%, they've already taken their 30% out of that. So this is the.
Yeah. So the 30,000 expense,
We probably, but that would go away next year probably, because we decided that, the way that it was being done, that we probably didn't need to show any expense or anything, because that expense is coming out on that side before it ever gets to us.
Any other questions?
and just for the sake of discussion, did the south end and then the access revenues, did they meet expectations last year?
Yes, sir. They exceeded expectations.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? I just comment, Connie, the interest that you're collecting consistently exceeds expectations. And not only for the BIS fund, but for the town in general. So thank you for that. Okay, Rocky Mountain project update, Christina?
So as far as the update, as you know, last month before, we have received the plans, the engineer plans for the project. We were trying to get a stakeholders group meeting scheduled. Jonathan had to go out of town for a couple of weeks, so he's back. He had given me his availability on a couple of dates, and I reached out to the stakeholders group to get a consensus. So we're looking at the beginning of October to hold that meeting with the Rocky Mountain stakeholders group for Jonathan to present sort of the final documents. So that'll pretty much close that chapter of the Rocky Mount project as far as the plans. Now we need to work on the funding. As you know, we did apply for a grant through the Division of Water Resources, the Water Resources Development Grant, and was just notified yesterday that we did not receive that grant. We were not chosen to be funded. So we'll keep looking for funding opportunities and continue to apply when they become available.
And I guess when you all have the stakeholders meeting, Jonathan will report out as to what the expected cost will be.
Yes, and yes, but we already sort of know that it's going to be expected somewhere around 500,000. We had to have that information when we applied for the grant funding.
That'll be the total cost, not what we'll have to come up with.
Well, that's the total cost of the project, that's correct. So depending on what kind of funding we get, if we get a grant, whatever our match might be.
I think the dates that you put out were the 2nd and the 3rd. I responded to that. And then the stakeholders group is basically the adjoining landowners in that area.
It's the property owners in that area that are affected directly with the issues over there at Rocky Mountain flooding.
Well, I would hope that if I'm not able, if you schedule on a date when I'm not able, I would hope that I'll reach out to somebody on this committee because I would like to have us represented at that meeting so we have the news as it comes out.
Sure, and I should be able to, hopefully by tomorrow, by the end of the day tomorrow, have that date settled and the invitation go out. So you can just let me know if it doesn't work for you. We'll get somebody else in your place.
Any other questions about that particular project? Well, I'm glad to see that we are going to have that stakeholders group meeting. It's been a while coming, but hopefully that we can find some funds to execute.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to continue to look and continue to apply.
All right. On my beach Vitex, again, it's in your court, Christine.
My second favorite topic. Well, we've made some progress here as well. The company, Michael Baker International, we're gonna call it MBI, it's a lot easier. They started their treatments on the week of August 18th. They started right here in Topsail Beach. We were lucky at the south end. And basically they did about a 2 to 3 block area of treatments, but they tried 3 different types of treatments, 3 different application processes. And their goal in this was a little bit to, do a test, if you will, to see which application got the best results. So they had to wait about 4 to 6 weeks before they could come back and look at the results to see which one worked. So they were supposed to be back sometime this week, so they can gather the data. After that, once they come back and they determine which one they're going to use out of the 3 techniques, they'll be back on the week of September 22nd, and then they're coming back again the week of October 6th. Now, they'll have more crews at that time, so they'll likely be working in different towns simultaneously. So hopefully we can get quite a few treatments done in those 2 weeks. Like Connie had mentioned earlier, we did receive some of the funding from the state, the grant funding. Right now we have received $517,545. So we're expecting to have another payment in the amount of $172,000. That will bring us up to our full grant award. And I want to remind everyone, we do have an interactive map that's available through the TISPC website. You can also get to it through our town website as well. There's a little bit of misconception or misunderstanding on the interactive map. You'll go on there, you'll see all the lots. The purple lots mean that the property owners have signed a waiver. But the X's is kind of where you want to pay attention to. Those are the properties that are expected to be treated in this phase with the funding that we've received so far. So if you have a purple lot, but it doesn't have an X on it, that's great, because we want to get waivers from every property owner to have on file. But only the properties with an X on them are included in this first round of funding for treatment. The X on it will be red if it has not been treated, and it will be green once it has been treated. And of course, if anybody has any questions, give me a call.
I have a question. Where is the 2 to 3 block area that they did treat?
They started at the south end, well, right, pretty much right next to Serenity Point,
Okay.
and they continue to work north. And actually, as part of the map as well, we're hoping, again, this is still sort of a new process for us, but we've sort of blocked out the area that they're going to be treating, and then we put a date on it when we do know that it's coming. So we've been trying to kind of keep the map up to date as much as possible with the information that we have. Sometimes they don't know exactly where they're going to start or how long it's going to take them to do a section. And but as soon as we have the information, we put it on the map.
Isn't there a time in the fall where they can't treat anymore because the sap goes down into the roots?
Yeah, I think that pretty much through the, after the fall, through the winter, up until the early spring, they don't do any application treatment process then. And I think that has to do with, I'm not really misspeaking here, but I think that has to do with the fact that they go dormant in the winter, so they're not circulating whatever herbicide that was put on them to, running it back through. So I think that's why they just don't treat it. It's not, it doesn't work very well in the winter.
Any other questions? Well, at least you're making progress and you've gotten your first 3 blocks.
Yeah, I've answered a lot of angry property owners that are not on the map, unfortunately, for treatment. And I just want to say that we know that this was a cursory sort of survey. We know that there are other people out there who have biotechs. I don't know what the future funding looks like for this project, but again, it's something that we hope to continue to pursue even after this first phase.
So the TISBC website is where the Vitex information is, and Mike Benson has reported out that he's getting quite a few views on that Vitex website, so.
Yes, it has become very popular.
Any other questions? All righty, I think the next item on the agenda is Topsail Island Shoreline Protection Commission update. And our last meeting was on August the 21st. And the next meeting will be October the 23rd. Congressman McIntyre and his team, including Andrew Rand and Margot Peterson, will be here in person on that particular day to give their report. So that's going to be Thursday, October the 23rd. At our last meeting, one of the items of note is that Surf City reported that there had been some slippage on the timeline for their coastal storm damage mitigation project. And that caught our ear. And since that time, Surf City has written a letter to its congressional representatives at the national level. TISBC also wrote a letter in support of Surf City. The Lieutenant General Graham had approved what they call those GRR report. And the next stage was that, well, is the funding going to come out of Office Management and Budget Committee? We got Surf City, got a lot of response, and particularly out of Congressman Rouser's office. And I wanted y'all to take a look at a YouTube video that Jack Best sent to me of Congressman Rouser in the committee hearing, so you can kind of see firsthand the response that we've received from the national level delegation. This wasn't intended to be an endorsement of anyone, but I just want, Connie mentioned how much money we're spending for federal representation. And I think that's a good example of why we're spending that money. That's my opinion. So, that is, the video was shared to me by Jack Best, who is, legislative representative for Rouser. He's also shared with me some significant new information about in the It was a ruling that disallowed using federal funds within a COBRA zone for beach renourishment. Call that was made. But just recently, he has told me that they reinstated the 2019 ruling that will allow the use of FEMA funds or federal funds to dredge in the inlet and place on the beach. So that's another example of some good positive news coming out of Washington.
Is this a fact? I mean, has it been done or is this something that they're considering doing?
This is something that Jack Bess has sent me a notice. It has been done. And then I have the most recent report from Warden Smith, and they're also confirming that they've reinstated that ruling so that we can use federal funds. It's a big deal.
Yeah, a big deal.
I guess the other, federal thing that's of interest to us is that there is a bipartisan FEMA bill that's been marked up, and the intent of that bill is to move FEMA from Homeland Security back into a cabinet level position, and to make it more efficient in terms of being able to apply for grants and getting execution, being able to give block grants to states where there's been, a catastrophic event, so that states can execute a little bit quicker. So there's some positive move in that area as well. And the next meeting will be on October 23rd. Mayor Braxton, myself, town manager at Surf City, we all went up to the most recent CRC meeting, and you can go onto their CRC website, and there was a presentation about, did an analysis about the setback requirements across all the different areas. Make a long story short, they showed all the science behind it, and our setbacks are still the same, about 60 feet. I'm still figuring 2 feet of erosion per year. So there's really been no change. And then there was also a big presentation on inlet hazard areas. And they showed time-lapse photography on all the different inlet hazard areas, but I don't think there's been any substantial change in the boundaries of those areas either. But if you're interested in looking at those presentations in depth, just go to the CRC website. They'll have, within the minutes, you can go to that item and you'll be able to see the presentation. They did have, as Jamie indicated, presentation for the 30-year beach management plan for both banks, which includes Emerald Isle and Atlantic Beach and all that area in there. So there's a copy of that plan posted out there if you want to see the detail. And we got the same level of detail that they do. Yeah. So there's just a couple of things I might bring to your attention. And again, if you're interested in the TISPC meeting, we'll be on October. Any questions? That's all I have to report on that. So, there any other comments? Or I do want to make one comment. I think this is Christina's first official meeting as the town manager, and I want to offer our congratulations to you, Christina. You've always been very supportive of this BIS committee, and it's been easy to have a dialogue with you and work with you in the background. So congratulations. Any other comments? This is the second time in a row that we've been.
Good job.
Yeah. Last time we
Amazing.
Good job.
did it in 30 minutes, and this time it's 40. Do I have a motion?
And make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Yep, we're adjourned. Thank you.
I missed the discussion. Where is